The moon has always watched us, hovering in patient silence over oceans, forests, and cities, untouched by the frantic pace of our lives. It has no voice, no hurry, yet its presence is felt in every tide, every shadow, every subtle rhythm of the night. To consider it as merely a satellite is to miss the profound intimacy of this celestial companion. It is a sentinel, observing with quiet constancy, a partner in a dialogue we barely understand. Its pale face shifts slowly across the sky, a marker of time, a mirror to our own fleeting existence, and perhaps, if we listen closely, a recorder of battles we no longer remember. Millions of years ago, the Earth and Moon were not the tranquil pair we imagine today. Their histories are etched in scars of molten rock and the traces of cosmic collisions that once threatened the very shape of both worlds. The Moon we now know was born from fire, a violent separation from the Earth that carried the echoes of an ancient catastrophe. Yet, in its silence, it holds the memory of that early chaos, a quiet witness to planetary upheavals, a keeper of secrets that human eyes can barely perceive. If we allow our imagination to wander, we might sense the Earth itself as a restless, breathing body, shifting beneath the pull of its companion. Oceans swell and recede not simply because of tides, but as though the Earth responds to the Moon's gaze, negotiating with gravity, yielding and resisting in a conversation too slow and subtle for us to hear. Mountains rise and fall, volcanoes erupt and settle, and deep beneath the crust, the molten heart of our planet pulses to a rhythm that has been guided, in part, by this silent observer. Consider the poetic possibility of a forgotten war, not one fought with armies, but with force and resistance, with impact and recoil, with energy so vast that it shaped continents and seas. The Moon, in its stillness, carries the evidence of these titanic events. Craters that are monuments to moments of extreme violence, dust that has traveled across the void, and a surface that preserves, with perfect fidelity, a record of the cosmos. The Earth too bears scars, though most are obscured by erosion, by life, by the passage of time. Between them, a dialogue of push and pull, of tension and release, has unfolded over eons, a war written not in words, but in the very bones of the planets. And yet, there is peace in this memory, a quiet serenity that comes from understanding the vast scale of time. To dwell on the Moon's silence is to enter a meditative state, where the mind can slow and the heart can synchronize with cosmic rhythms. There is a gentle, hypnotic cadence in the orbit, a measured pull that echoes the beat of our own internal tides, the rise and fall of breath, the drift of thought, the quiet moments that prepare us for sleep. The Moon's observation is not threatening. It is stabilizing, a constant in the flux of chaos, a companion whose loyalty is measured in millennia rather than hours. Even as we explore theories of ancient collisions and cataclysmic forces, we are invited to reflect on what it means to witness, to endure, and to respond. The Earth and Moon do not fight with malice or intent, but through the mechanics of physics and gravity, they enact a drama whose scale dwarfs all human understanding. There is a quiet poetry in imagining the Moon as both adversary and ally, shaping our tides, our nights, our very sense of rhythm, yet never acting with consciousness. In this duality, destruction and creation, tension and harmony, we find the first hints of wonder, the initial whisper of awe that will guide us through the rest of this journey. In the stillness of night, as we lie beneath the slow arc of the Moon's path, we can sense that this is more than a story of rocks and gravity. It is a story of memory, of time, of forces that have sculpted the very cradle of life. The moon reminds us that even in silence, there is narrative, even in calm, there is action, and even in the vast void, there is intimacy. It waits, as it always has, patient and unchanging, inviting us to open our minds to the scale of cosmic history, to feel the weight of millions of years while breathing in the soft comfort of the present moment. We begin here, in the presence of this silent sentinel, feeling both small and connected, aware that beneath our feet and above our heads a subtle interplay continues to shape the world. Its influence is gentle, yet inexorable, and it whispers of forces that preceded humanity, that will outlast humanity, and that continue to guide the rhythm of Earth. It is the perfect beginning for reflection, for contemplation, for sleep, a gateway into the deep, slow story of a war that may never have been fought in anger, but was written in the very language of celestial motion. As the moon drifts silently across the sky, we prepare to follow its story, to explore the ancient collisions, the tidal dialogues, and the hidden imprints that together suggest a cosmic tension long forgotten by time. We carry with us the sense of calm, the rhythm of orbit, the assurance that in silence there is understanding, and in patient observation there is truth. Here, in this first meditation, we rest our minds, open our hearts, and let the moon's quiet vigil guide us into the unfolding narrative of Earth's deepest memories and the possibilities of a celestial conflict that lingers still, unseen, but inscribed in the very fabric of our world. Long before humans gazed up at the moon and spun stories of gods and monsters, Earth and its companion were shaping each other through immense forces, silent and indifferent. Collisions that could shatter continents, craters that could swallow oceans, and molten rivers of rock were all part of a rhythm too vast for us to fully grasp. These were not battles fought with intent or malice, but with energy so immense that the very forms of both planets were rewritten. In imagining these cataclysms, we begin to hear faint echoes of a war, a conflict written not in words but in the language of matter and motion. The moon itself carries the memory of these events. Its surface is pockmarked with scars, each crater a frozen testament to a moment of violence, an impact that once released more energy than all human conflicts combined. Some of these impacts may have been fragments from the earliest days of the solar system, rocks hurled across space by other cosmic encounters, yet their effect resonates as though the moon had taken blows meant for Earth itself. It is easy to imagine the moon recoiling, shifting in orbit, reacting as an equal to forces larger than comprehension, yet it never falters in its silent vigil. The Earth, too, has endured. Ancient collisions left deep wounds beneath layers of soil, rock, and water. Mountains were thrust upward, seas were displaced, and climates were altered, all in response to forces that had no understanding of life, yet whose consequences shaped the conditions for life to emerge. The Earth and Moon were locked in a mutual negotiation, one that spanned eons, where each impact, each tidal pull, each shift of crust echoed across the other. It was a dialogue of destruction and creation, a series of exchanges so subtle that only the patient mind, attuned to time itself, can perceive it. If we allow ourselves to feel the scale of these events, there is a gentle awe in knowing how small we are, yet how intimately connected to these forces. The rocks we walk upon, the water that laps at shores, even the very air we breathe, all carry the legacy of this cosmic dialogue. Every crater on the moon mirrors an upheaval on Earth. Every ancient lava flow whispers of distant impacts. To meditate on these echoes is to feel the heartbeat of planets, slow and persistent, a rhythm that predates humanity and will outlast it. And yet, within these violent beginnings, there is a strange serenity. Time softens the edges of catastrophe, transforming it into memory. What was once molten chaos becomes quiet plains, mountains, and valleys. Craters fill with dust, oceans rise and recede, and life finds a way to grow in the spaces left behind. The narrative of cataclysm becomes a lullaby of endurance, reminding us that even in immense destruction there is a gentle unfolding of order, a calm restoration, a balance maintained by forces larger than comprehension. We might imagine the moon as a kind of archivist, recording each collision, each upheaval, with perfect fidelity. Its pocked surface is not just scars, but a library of moments, a repository of celestial memory. The Earth, hidden beneath clouds, forests, and seas, holds its own fragile record, partially erased by time and the restless activity of life. Yet, together, the two bodies form a duet, a mirrored history of trials and survival, a cosmic choreography that continues quietly whether we notice or not. In this reflection, we begin to perceive a rhythm, a push and pull, an ebb and flow that can almost be felt rather than seen. Tides respond to gravity. The planet's rotation slows imperceptibly, and the moon drifts slightly further from Earth, carrying away fragments of angular momentum in a slow, elegant exchange. Each small movement is an echo of past upheavals, a whisper of forces that once collided in spectacular displays of energy. The war, if it can be called that, is not loud. It is subtle, hidden in the mechanics of orbit, in the shaping of landscapes, in the long, patient patience of planetary evolution. As we drift deeper into contemplation, there is a meditative quality to imagining these echoes. We sense the violence of ancient times without fear, feeling instead a gentle reverence for the scale and precision of cosmic mechanics. The moon and Earth, in their silent negotiation, have taught resilience, patience, and the quiet persistence of life in a universe that often seems indifferent. Listening to these echoes is like listening to the distant tolling of a bell, a sound so slow and deep that it vibrates in the mind and soul rather than the ears, inviting calm reflection and a sense of wonder. Finally, this section asks us to hold both imagination and science together. While geology, physics, and astronomy provide evidence of impacts and upheavals, poetry fills the spaces between facts, allowing us to feel the drama as much as understand it. In the echoes of cataclysm, we find a narrative that is both factual and contemplative, a bridge between knowing and sensing, between history and sleep. We rest here with awareness of ancient energy, with recognition of silent forces, and with the comfort that these echoes, though immense and relentless, carry a profound serenity that can guide us into the next stages of our journey. Beneath the moon's steady gaze, the oceans respond with a rhythm older than memory. Tides rise and fall, a gentle breathing of the earth itself, guided by the invisible hand of gravity. Each wave is a soft whisper, a measured response to the moon's pull, and in this, we can sense a dialogue unfolding, subtle, unhurried, and infinitely patient. It is a conversation written not in words, but in motion, in the swell and retreat of waters, in the shaping of coastlines, and in the quiet persistence of life that depends on this ebb and flow. Imagine standing on a quiet shore, the dark water shimmering under lunar light. The tide moves toward you slowly, inexorably, as though carrying messages from the moon across the expanse of the oceans. In this exchange, Earth is not passive, it resists, it yields, it negotiates. Mountains of water push inland, then recede, leaving traces of their presence on sands and rocks. This interplay is not violent, but purposeful, like a language only the ocean and the moon can speak. Over millions of years, these subtle forces have guided the evolution of coastlines, estuaries, and marine life, shaping the world in ways both visible and invisible. The tides are more than mere movement of water. They are the heartbeat of the planet, a slow, deliberate pulse that marks time. Life, in turn, has learned to dance to this rhythm. The earliest organisms in tidal pools felt the push and pull, evolving in synchrony with lunar cycles. Creatures of the sea, and eventually land, adapted to this cadence, embedding in their biology a memory of celestial dialogue. In this way, the moon becomes more than a distant observer. It becomes a teacher, shaping the pace of existence, quietly reminding all that life is a response to forces far beyond conscious intent. There is poetry in this interplay. Consider the tides as a gentle argument between Earth and Moon, a negotiation conducted over eons. Each high tide is a concession, each low tide a pause, a moment of reflection. Mountains of water fold over themselves, then retreat with calm inevitability, demonstrating the subtle art of balance. The moon does not impose its will, it suggests, it guides. The earth responds, bending and yielding without resistance. Together, they have choreographed a dialogue so intricate, so patient, that it is almost imperceptible to human perception, yet it shapes the very foundation of life and land. Even in the quietest moments, when the ocean seems still, the conversation continues. Currents carry the memory of past tides, winds echo the sway of lunar influence, and sediment traces the slow, patient negotiation of gravity. Every coastline, every estuary, every ripple on the surface of a pond is a word in this language, a syllable in a dialogue older than mountains, older than humanity itself. To attune ourselves to this rhythm is to enter a meditative state where breath, thought, and heart align with the subtle cadence of the Earth-Moon connection. The tides also speak of resilience. Over millions of years, Earth has experienced storms, floods, and shifting seas, yet the dialogue with the moon persists. The moon's pull may alter the form of coasts, shift the path of rivers, and even influence climates, but it does so with an elegance that allows life to adapt rather than perish. In this way, the conversation is not conflict but cooperation, a silent negotiation that has shaped the trajectory of the planet. We sense the beauty of this ongoing negotiation in every gentle wave, in every reflective pool, and in the rhythm of the oceans as they respond to forces beyond themselves. As we lie beneath the moon's light, contemplating the vastness of the tides, there is a soothing cadence that seeps into consciousness. The rise and fall of the water mirrors the rise and fall of breath, of thought, of life itself. It is a rhythm that encourages stillness, reflection, and, ultimately, surrender. In tuning into this dialogue, we are reminded that even the greatest forces operate with patience and balance, and that the slow negotiation between Earth and Moon can teach us calm, perspective, and awe. Through this meditation on tides, we begin to understand a larger narrative. The Moon is not merely a distant rock. It is a participant in a slow, persistent communication that has shaped oceans, life, and time itself. The subtle push and pull, the dialogue of water and gravity, mirrors the larger cosmic tensions that have left their mark on both Earth and Moon. And as the waves continue to move in silent conversation, we are invited to feel the intimacy of these forces, to rest in their steady rhythm, and to prepare for the unfolding story of imprints, collisions, and cosmic memory that will guide us deeper into the mysteries of a forgotten celestial war. Beneath the surface of both Earth and Moon lie stories written in stone, in dust, in the silent language of impact and upheaval. These are the forgotten imprints of a history so vast that human memory cannot hold it. Craters, ridges, fault lines, and plains are more than geological features. They are signatures of forces that once collided with unimaginable energy, shaping the contours of worlds and the flow of time itself. To trace these imprints is to follow the echoes of cosmic events that occurred long before humanity ever lifted its gaze to the sky. On the Moon, the scars are clear, etched in stark relief. Ancient impacts left vast craters, some spanning hundreds of kilometers, where molten rock once erupted and cooled into lifeless plains. Each crater tells a story of a moment so violent it could have destroyed entire continents on Earth had it landed here. Yet, in their stillness, these imprints seem calm, frozen in the eternal night of the Moon's surface, a quiet record of chaos transformed into order. They are archives of memory, waiting patiently for eyes that can perceive their deep significance. Earth bears similar marks, though they are often hidden beneath layers of soil, vegetation, and water. Mountains rise where collisions lifted the crust, while valleys and basins mark the places where energy was absorbed or displaced. Volcanoes are the living echoes of these ancient encounters, still breathing remnants of fire and molten rock into the world. In riverbeds and desert plains, traces of upheaval whisper of the forces that once threatened to reshape everything. Here, too, the memory is preserved, though it is filtered through the passage of time, erosion, and the quiet work of life itself reclaiming the land. There is a strange poetry in this permanence and impermanence. The Moon's imprints are eternal, unmoved by wind, water, or the slow creep of time. Earth's scars, by contrast, are mutable, softened by rain, shaped by plants, carried away by rivers, and smoothed by glaciers. Yet, both carry the memory of tremendous events. The contrast between permanence and impermanence becomes a meditation on time itself, reminding us that all things, catastrophe and calm, life and death, are recorded in some form, whether in rock, dust, or the faint trace left on the rhythm of our planet. These imprints are also reminders of the interconnectedness of Earth and Moon. A massive impact on one could influence the other through gravity, tidal shifts, and even fragments hurled across space. In this sense, the planets have been in constant conversation, leaving subtle marks on each other's surfaces, a dialogue of cause and effect, of echo and response. It is a dialogue not of words, but of movement, collision, and adaptation, written in the quiet permanence of stone and the slow erosion of time. Meditating on these imprints invites us to slow our own rhythm, to imagine the vast scales of time and energy involved is to realize the impermanence of human concerns, the fleeting nature of our daily lives. Yet, there is comfort in this perspective. These colossal forces continue their quiet work with patience and precision. Life emerged and persisted despite, and perhaps because of, the scars, adapting, growing, and finding a rhythm that mirrored the slow dialogues of Earth and Moon. The imprints become not only records of destruction, but also of resilience, of balance restored after the tumult. In contemplating the Moon's craters and Earth's valleys, one can sense a hidden symmetry, a calm order within seeming chaos. The Moon's barren plains echo the deserts of Earth. The deep basins and ridges mirror the mountains and ocean trenches below our feet. There is a resonance that speaks to a connection beyond sight or touch, a cosmic choreography written over eons. This resonance carries a meditative quality, soothing the mind while inspiring awe. It is a rhythm that encourages deep reflection, a recognition that even in violence there is beauty, and even in chaos there is a quiet order. These forgotten imprints also evoke imagination. They allow us to speculate on events beyond our experience. Ancient collisions that may have shifted the tilt of Earth, caused massive tidal waves, or ignited firestorms that reshaped the atmosphere. Perhaps in these events lie the seeds of future possibilities, the subtle nudges that allowed life to thrive, ecosystems to evolve, and continents to drift into the forms we recognize today. In this sense, the imprints are not relics of destruction alone, but markers of transformation, guiding the story of Earth and Moon in ways both subtle and profound. As we lie beneath the Moon's gentle light, reflecting on these imprints, a quiet stillness emerges. We feel the slow dialogue of energy and matter, the interplay of collision and response, the patient accumulation of history. These traces are more than scientific evidence. They are invitations to meditate on the scale of the universe, the fragility of life, and the astonishing endurance of planetary forces. In tracing these forgotten imprints, we enter into a rhythm of calm wonder, where imagination, science, and reflection intertwine, preparing the mind for the next step in our journey. The poetic silence and shadowed mysteries that dwell in the space between myth and memory. Long before we had telescopes, before we charted orbits and calculated gravity, humans looked up at the Moon and saw shadows dancing across its pale face. These shadows became stories, myths, and legends, a way to explain the silent presence of a celestial companion whose influence was felt but not fully understood. In every culture, the Moon has been cast as both ally and adversary, a goddess, a hunter, a messenger, or a distant eye observing our world. In contemplating these shadows, we sense the way humanity has tried to read the echoes of cosmic events into patterns of meaning. Legends tell of battles in the sky, of fiery collisions and celestial conflicts, yet their origins are shrouded in symbolism. Some myths suggest the Moon wrestled with the sun, others that it fought with Earth itself. Perhaps these stories were inspired by ancient impacts, by floods and tides, by volcanic eruptions that shaped the landscape. In the dim light of imagination, these events were given faces and motives, a way to make sense of forces far larger than human life. The stories were both warning and wonder, a gentle teaching of humility before the vastness of the cosmos. The shadows in these tales are never fixed. They move across the lunar surface, shift with the seasons, and align with human perception. In this movement, we glimpse a metaphorical dialogue between memory and imagination, between fact and fiction. The Moon's craters, plains, and highlands become stage and participant, shaping the narratives we tell. Some are tales of harmony, of guidance and protection, while others hint at conflict and forgotten wars. The interplay of light and darkness evokes a sense of duality, mirroring the quiet tension that may exist between Earth and its companion. There is a meditative quality to these myths. They invite reflection on human curiosity, on our innate desire to find meaning in the sky, and on the ways we encode memory and history into stories. Each shadow cast upon the moon's surface becomes a symbol, a reminder that the world we inhabit is shaped as much by imagination as by gravity, by narrative as much as by impact. In this reflection, we begin to sense the continuity between cosmic events and human consciousness, the subtle way the forces of Earth and Moon ripple into culture, art, and collective memory. These celestial stories also evoke a sense of reverence. Consider the myths in which the moon takes on human traits: anger, patience, jealousy, or protection. They remind us that while we may not fully comprehend the scale of cosmic events, we can translate their echoes into emotion, into meditation, into quiet wonder. In these interpretations, the moon becomes a bridge between tangible science and poetic imagination, between the measurable and the ineffable. It teaches that observation and reflection are intertwined, and that meaning can be found in both what is seen and what is sensed. The shadows also speak of continuity. Across continents and generations, people have looked at the same moon, traced its phases, and pondered its influence. The stories, though diverse, share a common thread, an acknowledgement that this celestial presence matters, that it holds sway over tides, seasons, and perhaps even fate. In contemplating the moon's shadow, we meditate not only on the sky, but on the human impulse to understand, to narrate, and to harmonize with the rhythms of the universe. There is also a subtle tension in these tales, a suggestion of forgotten conflicts. The moon's silence contrasts with the drama woven by human imagination, hinting at forces too vast for perception. By linking myth to possible cosmic events, we explore a gentle narrative of lost wars and ancient struggles, not as literal histories, but as poetic reflections of truth. These stories ask us to consider that memory is layered in rock and dust, in orbit and tide, and in human consciousness itself. Shadows in the sky become threads connecting science, myth, and the rhythm of thought, encouraging reflection that is at once calming and expansive. As we meditate on the moon's shifting shadows, there is a deep serenity that arises. The myths do not demand understanding. They encourage reflection, allowing the mind to drift gently between imagination and knowledge. In this space, we sense the interplay of light and dark, of history and memory, of celestial influence and human creativity. Shadows become guides to wonder, whispering lessons of patience, resilience, and connection across time. They remind us that even in silence, there is a story, and that even in the calmest night, the universe speaks to those who listen. In this section, we rest in the quiet contemplation of these shadows, feeling the poetic dialogue between the moon and earth, and between cosmic reality and human perception. We sense that the echoes of ancient forces, once fierce and untamed, have softened into patterns of light and shadow that invite meditation. The moon's presence, ever constant, guides the imagination as it has guided tides, and in doing so, we begin to feel the slow, comforting rhythm of the universe, a rhythm that prepares the mind and heart for the next reflection on the subtle, enduring pull of cosmic time. Time flows differently when measured by human clocks. Seconds, minutes, hours. They are fleeting and precise, neat compartments that organize our lives. But on the scale of planets, time is measured in rotations, revolutions, and the imperceptible exchange of energy between celestial bodies. The moon, silent and constant, exerts a subtle influence that lengthens our days, slows the Earth's spin, and reminds us that even the most patient forces shape the rhythm of life. Its pull is quiet but inexorable, a gentle hand guiding the heartbeat of the planet itself. Long ago, the Earth spun faster, completing a day in only a fraction of the time we now experience. Life, too, was attuned to a different rhythm, shaped by shorter cycles of light and dark. Then, through millennia, the moon's presence gradually slowed this rotation, tidal forces extracting energy from Earth's spin and moving the moon slightly farther away. Each day became longer, each cycle of life extended. In this slow negotiation, there is a sense of intimacy between the two worlds, a subtle conversation in which motion and gravity are the language, and time is both the medium and the message. Consider the poetic implications of this. The moon, though distant, shapes the very passage of our lives. The tides rise and fall, marking hours in ways our clocks cannot replicate. The movement of oceans, the drift of continents, the cycles of animal behavior, all are influenced by this pull. It is a reminder that life is not separate from the cosmos, but embedded in it, synchronized to rhythms far older and slower than human thought. There is a profound calm in realizing that our existence is attuned to forces that have operated for billions of years, gentle, yet inexorable, shaping life with patience and precision. The pull of time is also a meditation on continuity. Just as the moon slows Earth's spin, it stabilizes its axial tilt, guiding the seasons with quiet consistency. Without this influence, climates would swing chaotically, perhaps too unpredictable for life to flourish. In this way, the moon's pull is protective, a patient architect shaping conditions for resilience. Its influence is not loud or aggressive, but measured and deliberate, a quiet counterpoint to the chaos that once raged during the planet's formative years. There is poetry in such stability, a sense that the universe can balance immense forces with elegance and grace. We can also reflect on how this slow tug shapes perception itself. Longer days mean extended periods of light and dark, guiding the cycles of growth, sleep, and reflection. The rhythm of Earth's rotation, shaped by the moon, is mirrored in biological clocks, in the ebb and flow of consciousness, in the quiet moments when awareness drifts between wakefulness and rest. The moon's pull is thus both external and internal, influencing not only the planet but the mind and body attuned to its gentle rhythm. Imagine a world without this pull, days racing past, seasons unstable, life forced to adapt to a chaotic tempo. The moon's patient influence is a reminder that cosmic forces, though invisible and silent, sustain the delicate conditions for continuity and contemplation. Its effect is slow, almost imperceptible, yet profound. Every rotation, every tide, every subtle shift in climate is a testament to a dialogue written in the language of motion and gravity, a conversation that spans eons and invites quiet reflection. There is also a sense of awe in perceiving time as elastic, stretched, and shaped by distant forces. The moon is a reminder that what we call now is part of a vast continuum. Seconds are nested within centuries, which are nested within millennia. This cosmic perspective encourages calm, humility, and a meditative awareness of scale. In feeling the pull of time, we sense the slow choreography of Earth and Moon, a patient negotiation whose rhythms cradle life itself and invite our minds to rest within their cadence. Finally, the pull of time invites reflection on connection and dependency. Earth and Moon are locked in an eternal embrace, their fates intertwined. Each tidal shift, each slowed rotation, each gradual separation of the Moon from Earth is evidence of a silent conversation, a cosmic negotiation that has persisted over billions of years. In contemplating this, we are reminded of the subtle forces that shape all existence, of the hidden dialogues that guide the natural world, and of the comfort found in steady, reliable patterns that extend beyond human lifespans. As we lie beneath the night sky, aware of the moon's presence, we can feel its gentle tug in rhythm with our own breath, our thoughts, and our pulse. The pull of time is calming, grounding, and awe-inspiring, a quiet reminder that the universe operates in scales far beyond comprehension, yet offers continuity and harmony to those who pause and listen. In this meditation, we are invited to rest, to drift, and to attune ourselves to the gentle cadence of cosmic forces, preparing for the next stage of our journey, the intricate imprints of collision, memory, and planetary dialogue that will guide us deeper into the story of a forgotten celestial war. Every impact between cosmic bodies leaves more than scars on stone. It reshapes the very fabric of worlds. When asteroids or comets struck the Moon and Earth in primordial times, they released unimaginable energy, rippling across the surfaces and through the skies. The consequences were profound. Crusts shifted, oceans swelled, atmospheres stirred, and climates were nudged, or violently jolted, into new patterns. In contemplating these collisions, we sense not only raw power but also subtle orchestration, the interplay of forces that has guided life's emergence and shaped planetary evolution. On Earth, the immediate aftermath of an impact could have been terrifying: firestorms igniting forests, massive tsunamis racing across oceans, clouds of dust blotting sunlight and cooling the air. Yet, in these extreme events, there is also a rhythm, a cycle of destruction and renewal. Life, in its tenacity, adapted. Organisms evolved to survive, ecosystems reorganized, and the planet gradually returned to balance. The consequences of collisions are, therefore, not only dramatic but profoundly creative. They remind us that catastrophe and emergence are inseparable threads in the tapestry of existence. The Moon's surface records these events with striking clarity. Its craters are eternal witnesses to collisions, frozen in time. Each impact, whether small or colossal, contributes to a silent history that contrasts with Earth's evolving landscapes. The Moon does not recover or transform, it preserves. Its memory is static, yet profound, offering a constant reflection of cosmic forces. Earth, by contrast, absorbs, reshapes, and integrates. Mountains and valleys, volcanic chains and ocean basins are all consequences of past collisions, subtle echoes of violence refracted through the slow processes of erosion, sedimentation, and tectonic drift. Beyond immediate geological effects, collisions shape the long-term evolution of Earth and its environments. The tilt of our planet, its rotation rate, and even the distribution of oceans and continents may bear traces of ancient impacts. Large events could have altered atmospheric composition, triggering glaciations or warming periods, influencing the evolutionary paths of countless species. The Moon, in its orbit, responded with slight shifts, altering tides and stabilizing the planet's axis. In this way, the consequences of cosmic encounters ripple across time, connecting physical events with biological and climatic rhythms. There is also a poetic resonance in these consequences. While humans often fear sudden disasters, the vast scale of planetary collisions evokes humility and perspective. The Earth and Moon have endured forces that dwarf imagination, yet their systems remain in delicate balance. Life, in turn, has adapted, integrating catastrophe into a rhythm of survival. Meditating on this interplay encourages the mind to slow, to reflect on resilience and continuity, and to sense the interconnectedness of all forces, visible and invisible. Consider the subtle, ongoing effects of these ancient collisions. Crustal shifts influenced river paths, created fertile plains, and shaped coastlines. Ocean basins deepened, guiding currents that regulate climate. Mountain ranges rose, affecting wind patterns and precipitation. Each consequence cascaded into the next, a chain of cause and effect spanning millions of years. In this, we witness the poetry of natural law. Small variations amplified over time, shaping the conditions for life, thought, and consciousness itself. The moon's influence amplified many of these effects. Its gravitational pull guided tides that redistributed water and energy across the planet, cushioning some impacts and subtly altering Earth's responses. The timing and intensity of tidal flows may have been affected by shifts in lunar distance caused by collisions, influencing sedimentation patterns, coastal evolution, and even the rhythm of early marine life. The consequences of impact are, therefore, not isolated events. They resonate through space and time, intertwining Earth and Moon in a continuous dialogue of cause and effect. This perspective also invites reflection on human history. Though we have not experienced collisions of the scale that shaped planetary evolution, we are acutely aware of natural disasters, large and small. By contemplating the consequences of ancient impacts, we are reminded that life persists through challenge and change, that resilience emerges in response to forces beyond our control. There is a meditative serenity in acknowledging that the universe has always operated on scales far greater than ourselves, yet has created conditions for growth, reflection, and wonder. Finally, the consequences of collisions extend into imagination and story. Ancient humans may have witnessed floods, earthquakes, or unusual celestial events, and encoded them into myths of battles, giants, or celestial wars. These stories, though metaphorical, echo the physical consequences of cosmic impacts, blending observation, memory, and imagination. In meditating on these narratives alongside the science, we find a continuum. The universe speaks through matter, through energy, and through human consciousness. The consequences of collisions are, therefore, both material and poetic, grounding and expansive, terrifying and awe-inspiring. As we reflect on these events, we sense a profound rhythm: impact, response, adaptation, and renewal. The Earth and Moon continue their dialogue, shaped by ancient collisions, yet moving in patient harmony. The consequences resonate across eons, a testament to endurance and interconnection. In this meditation, we prepare to follow the story into subtler realms, tidal rhythms, orbital shifts, and the hidden forces that continue to shape both worlds, guiding life, memory, and the quiet imagination of humanity. Even after the violence of collisions fades into memory, Earth and Moon continue a quiet, intricate dance. Their connection is not static. It is a rhythm of gravitational whispers, subtle nudges that shape oceans, rotation, and orbital paths over eons. Tides rise and fall with gentle insistence, carrying energy across seas and continents. The moon's orbit is slowly expanding, drifting farther from Earth with imperceptible grace, while the planet's rotation gradually slows. In this ongoing dialogue, we sense forces that are invisible yet profoundly influential, a cosmic conversation written in motion rather than words. Tides are the most immediate expression of this dialogue. Each high and low tide is a response to the moon's pull, a soft negotiation between gravity and inertia. Water surges across coastlines, shaping beaches, estuaries, and sediments, leaving behind traces of their passage. Currents shift, ecosystems respond, and life adapts to these subtle rhythms. The whispered energy of tidal forces extends beyond the visible, resonating deep within Earth's crust and mantle, gradually redistributing angular momentum and subtly influencing the planet's spin. The consequences are slow, almost imperceptible to the human eye, yet immense over geological timescales. The moon's orbit itself is a record of this interplay. As tidal energy transfers from Earth to the moon, the satellite drifts outward at a rate of centimeters per year. Though imperceptible day to day, this motion accumulates over millennia, subtly altering the rhythm of days, seasons, and tides. The orbits of both bodies are thus entwined, a delicate balance maintained by forces we can measure but scarcely feel. In reflecting on this, we sense the elegance of the universe's design, the patience embedded in physical law, and the calm inevitability of processes that operate far beyond human lifetimes. Hidden within these tides and orbits are whispers of ancient events. The moon's position today reflects not only gravitational mechanics, but also the impacts, collisions, and rearrangements of billions of years past. Crustal shifts, asteroid strikes, and early collisions left the system slightly askew, shaping the tempo of rotation and the subtle oscillations we now take for granted. Every wave, every lunar month, is a continuation of a story that began long before humans gazed skyward, a story encoded in energy, motion, and time. There is a meditative quality in recognizing the subtlety of these interactions. Unlike collisions, which are dramatic and sudden, whispered tides and hidden orbits operate with quiet persistence. They teach patience and attentiveness, reminding us that profound forces often move in ways imperceptible to immediate perception. The moon does not force, it persuades. Earth does not resist, it yields. Together, they create a slow, harmonious rhythm, a cosmic music that has guided life, climates, and human perception through eons. Life itself is attuned to these hidden whispers. Many species, from marine organisms to birds, respond to lunar cycles, tides, and night illumination. Coral spawns, fish migrations, and reproductive patterns align with lunar timing, echoing the subtle rhythms of orbit and tide. Human culture, too, has long recognized this influence. Calendars, rituals, and stories mark phases of the moon, reflecting an unconscious attunement to forces beyond conscious awareness. In this way, the whispered tides connect the physical and the poetic, the measurable and the imagined, embedding the moon's presence in life itself. The hidden orbits also remind us of impermanence and change. Over millions of years, slight variations in orbit influence climates, tides, and day lengths, subtly shaping ecosystems and evolution. The moon's slow drift may continue to lengthen Earth's days and alter tidal intensity, demonstrating that change is constant, though often imperceptible. By reflecting on these ongoing processes, we attune to the quiet, patient unfolding of time, embracing both stability and flux as part of the cosmic rhythm. There is serenity in observing this unseen dance. The interplay of gravitational forces, tides, and orbital shifts unfolds without drama, yet it has guided the evolution of planets, oceans, and life with precision and care. It is a rhythm that invites meditation, encouraging the mind to sync with the slow cadence of the cosmos, to feel continuity and connection with processes far larger than the self. The whispered tides are gentle teachers, illustrating the power of subtlety, patience, and persistence. Finally, contemplating these hidden forces prepares us to delve deeper into the story of memory, collision, and resonance. The whispered tides and orbits are echoes of a forgotten dialogue, a subtle reflection of ancient energy and cosmic negotiation. They set the stage for exploring how Earth and Moon, through impact, memory, and gravity, carry the traces of what might be called a celestial war, not as violence, but as the profound shaping of worlds and dialogue with one another. In this reflection, we sense the patient, enduring poetry of planetary interaction and are invited to drift gently into deeper contemplation. Even when the echoes of collisions fade from sight, they continue to resonate subtly through Earth and Moon. Energy deposited millions or billions of years ago still vibrates in crust and mantle, in mountains and ocean basins, in the rhythm of tides and the orbit of the moon. These are forces we cannot see, yet they are felt, an invisible hum of history, a lingering resonance of events that shaped both worlds. In meditating on these hidden vibrations, we sense a profound continuity. The past is not gone, but folded into the very fabric of the planet and its companion. Each crater, valley, and ridge is part of this resonance. When a massive impact occurred, shockwaves propagated through rock, altering the internal structure of both Earth and Moon. Over eons, these subtle distortions persisted, guiding the formation of mountains, influencing tectonic movements, and even affecting volcanic activity. The moon, unmoving and silent, preserves these resonances in its craters and highlands, a frozen symphony of ancient energy. On Earth, the echoes are softer, filtered through erosion, water, and life. Yet they remain, shaping the environment in ways imperceptible yet profound. The resonance is not merely geological. It extends to climate and oceanic patterns. Large impacts altered atmospheric composition, shifted ocean currents, and affected tidal ranges. Over time, these shifts influenced evolutionary pathways, favoring some species while challenging others to adapt. The very rhythm of life, from reproductive cycles to migration patterns, is subtly entwined with these ancient vibrations. In this sense, the planet itself is a living archive, recording both energy and consequence, and inviting reflection on the delicate interplay of force and life. There is a meditative elegance in this concept. Energy unleashed in moments of violence now sustains quiet rhythms. Mountains may rise, craters may remain, and tides may ebb and flow, but all speak to the persistence of force in forms that nurture, guide, and sustain. Resonance transforms past trauma into present harmony. This invites a contemplative stillness, a recognition that the universe operates not only through sudden drama but through patient, enduring dialogue between cause and effect, impact and adaptation. The moon, too, participates in this resonance. Its orbital shifts, distance variations, and gravitational pull are influenced by past collisions and energy exchanges. Subtle perturbations affect tidal strength, the timing of lunar cycles, and even the tilt of Earth's axis. Every rotation, every high tide, every lunar month carries traces of ancient forces, reminding us that history persists not only in rock, but in motion, in rhythm, and in interaction. By attuning ourselves to this resonance, we can sense the profound patience of cosmic forces, their quiet shaping of worlds and life across billions of years. Resonance also speaks to human perception. Ancient civilizations may have witnessed unusual tides, eclipses, or atmospheric disturbances, encoding them into myths, rituals, and calendars. These cultural echoes mirror the physical vibrations of the past, connecting science and imagination. In contemplating resonance, we bridge objective knowledge and poetic reflection, understanding that memory exists in both matter and consciousness. The echoes of collisions, though silent, are audible in the rhythm of thought, in stories passed through generations, and in the subtle shaping of landscapes that inspire awe. Consider the layered nature of these vibrations. An impact strikes, shockwaves reverberate, tides adjust, continents shift, species evolve, humans observe and mythologize. Each layer is a ripple extending outward from the initial moment of force. Over billions of years, the reverberations have intertwined Earth and Moon, life and geology, gravity and imagination into a continuous symphony. There is both comfort and wonder in realizing that the universe communicates not only in spectacular events, but also in enduring, patient vibrations that sustain balance and continuity. This resonance invites us to quiet reflection. In the stillness of night, beneath the moon's calm gaze, one can feel the subtle pulse of ancient energy, soft, persistent, and unbroken. It is a hum that transcends time, a reminder that even the most violent moments can yield order and rhythm. By listening inwardly, we attune to these planetary vibrations, aligning our breath, awareness, and imagination with the enduring cadence of the cosmos. It is a meditation on persistence, continuity, and the subtle poetry of forces that have sculpted worlds, without haste, without malice, yet with precision beyond comprehension. Finally, the resonance of forgotten forces bridges past and future, Earth and Moon, science and imagination. It teaches that memory is embedded in matter, that energy persists in subtle forms, and that life unfolds in response to imperceptible rhythms as much as to visible events. In resting within this meditation, we sense the quiet dialogue of history, the enduring influence of ancient collisions, and the patient shaping of worlds through forces both violent and gentle. The echoes guide the mind toward calm wonder, preparing us for the next section, where we explore the whispers of forgotten war between Earth and Moon, not as literal conflict, but as a poetic reflection of influence, tension, and cosmic negotiation. Long before humans could measure or imagine, the Earth and Moon engaged in a quiet struggle, a negotiation of force, gravity, and motion that might be thought of as a war in poetic terms. There were no armies, no weapons, no conscious intent. Only the interplay of mass, energy, and momentum echoing across billions of years. The whispers of this forgotten war are preserved in craters, tidal rhythms, orbital shifts, and the subtle tilts of continents and oceans. In meditating on these whispers, we sense the drama not as violence, but as cosmic dialogue, a negotiation of balance and resilience. The war was slow and patient. Impacts that reshaped landscapes, shifts that altered orbits, tidal forces that slowed rotation. Each was a strike in a conflict that left no human witness, yet marked both worlds profoundly. Energy was exchanged, momentum redistributed, and the two bodies settled into an uneasy harmony, a balance of push and pull that continues to this day. In this frame, collision becomes conversation, force becomes negotiation, and the evidence of struggle is embedded in the very motion of the moon and Earth. We can sense the tension in their interaction. Earth, spinning with faster days in the distant past, gradually yielded to the moon's pull. Tidal bulges rose and fell, transferring energy from the planet to its satellite. The moon's orbit expanded while the Earth's rotation slowed, each adjustment a compromise, a quiet surrender and assertion, a cosmic negotiation played out over millennia. In these dynamics, there is poetry, a tension resolved not through aggression, but through patience, resonance, and adaptation. This forgotten war also shaped life. Tidal ranges influenced coastlines and estuaries where early organisms thrived and evolved. Climatic patterns, stabilized by orbital adjustments, created predictable seasons and safe havens for life to emerge. In this sense, the war was both destructive and generative. Its echoes are present in the rhythms of tides, the timing of lunar cycles, and even the evolutionary pulse of life on Earth. It is a reminder that forces, even when unseen, guide existence in ways subtle yet profound. The whispers of this war are visible in the moon's craters, each one a scar from an ancient collision, each one part of a dialogue with Earth. On our planet, the evidence is more complex. Faults, mountain ranges, and deep ocean basins bear silent witness. Even in the absence of fire or explosion, the outcomes of this celestial negotiation are written across landscapes, oceans, and skies. By tracing these marks, we enter a meditation on patience, adaptation, and balance, the hallmarks of a war waged not with intent, but with consequence. There is a paradox in this concept. The war is at once violent and serene. Collisions released energy beyond imagination, yet the aftermath stabilized worlds and allowed life to flourish. Tides rose and fell, orbits adjusted, and slowly, harmony emerged. The struggle left echoes not only in matter but in rhythm and resonance, shaping the cadence of days, months, and seasons. This duality, destruction and creation, conflict and balance, is central to the meditation, encouraging reflection on how seemingly opposing forces can coexist to generate stability. In imagining this forgotten war, we also explore the subtle dialogue between memory and perception. Humans have recorded celestial conflicts in myth, allegory, and poetry, encoding ancient truths in symbols and stories. The moon's scars became gods, monsters, or warriors. Tidal rhythms became omens, calendars, and ritual. In these human echoes, we see that the whispers of war are not lost. They are translated, interpreted, and transformed, preserving the dialogue in consciousness even as it is etched in stone and orbit. There is a quiet intimacy in recognizing this cosmic struggle. Earth and moon, locked in gravity's embrace, have negotiated energy, motion, and time in ways that resonate through life and thought. Each day, as tides rise and fall, as the moon crosses the night sky, we are participants in this ancient negotiation, sensing forces shaped over eons, subtle yet powerful, guiding not only planetary mechanics, but human imagination. It is a meditation on continuity, patience, and the unseen threads that connect worlds. Finally, the whispers of this forgotten war invite a reflective pause. The battle is ongoing in microcosm. Tidal energy continues to transfer. Orbits continue to shift. Resonance continues to hum through rock, water, and air. By attuning to these subtle forces, we enter a rhythm of awareness, a calm engagement with the invisible choreography of planets. The war is not one of destruction alone, but of balance, adaptation, and poetic interplay, echoing through the motions of Earth and Moon, and through the quiet imagination of those who contemplate their presence in the night sky. In this meditation, we sense the weight of time, the persistence of energy, and the elegance of cosmic negotiation. The whispers guide the mind toward calm wonder, connecting the physical, poetic, and reflective aspects of planetary interaction, and preparing us to explore the next layer. How life, memory, and consciousness have themselves been shaped by this slow, patient dialogue between worlds. Earth keeps its memories quietly in stone, in sediment, and in water. Each layer of rock, each stratum of soil, records a history of forces far beyond human perception. Impacts, collisions, shifts in orbit, all leave subtle traces woven into mountains, valleys, and ocean basins. The planet is an archive, preserving the echoes of events that shaped its surface, climate, and life. These memories are not written in words but in forms, structures, and patterns, waiting for patient observation to reveal their story. Rivers, lakes, and oceans are also repositories of memory. Tides, guided by the moon's gentle pull, carry sediments, nutrients, and energy across continents, encoding subtle changes in coastlines, estuaries, and deltas. Currents map long-term rhythms, preserving traces of ancient climates, glacial movements, and volcanic eruptions. Even the quiet rise and fall of the tide is a reminder that memory is not static. It flows, shifts, and interacts with everything it touches, preserving history while simultaneously shaping the present. Stone, too, holds tales of collision and adaptation. Impact craters, though often eroded or hidden, mark moments of energy transfer when forces from beyond Earth reshaped landscapes in an instant. Mountains, fault lines, and ridges carry the imprints of ancient pressures, tectonic movement, and volcanic upheaval. These physical memories are persistent, enduring through millennia, and they speak to the patient observer of the planet's resilience. They remind us that memory is both fragile and enduring, delicate yet unyielding, and that the past is never truly gone. It lives in the structures around us, silently guiding the present. Water acts as both recorder and translator of memory. Glacial movements carve valleys that retain echoes of ancient ice ages. Ocean currents trace paths that have existed for eons, linking continents and ecosystems. Even rainfall and groundwater patterns reflect long-term climatic shifts, influenced by orbital changes, tidal rhythms, and atmospheric cycles. In contemplating water, we sense a living archive, a medium that both absorbs and releases memory, flowing through time as a gentle teacher of continuity, persistence, and change. There is a poetic resonance in this dual archive of stone and water. Mountains may rise to record impact, tectonics, and erosion, while rivers and tides translate those forms into motion, rhythm, and life. Together, they create a dynamic dialogue between permanence and flow, between the static and the mutable. Memory in stone provides the stillness necessary for reflection, while memory in water offers movement, adaptation, and resonance. Both are essential to understanding the subtle ways in which Earth preserves the echoes of a forgotten, celestial negotiation with the moon. Even human perception participates in this dialogue. Early civilizations read memory in rock formations and river paths, encoding it into myths, rituals, and calendars. Stories of floods, earthquakes, and unusual tides may have preserved traces of cosmic events long before scientific understanding. In this way, memory in stone and water becomes intertwined with cultural memory, demonstrating the interplay between physical evidence and human interpretation. The planet teaches through both matter and imagination, guiding reflection on forces, time, and resilience. The subtlety of this memory invites meditative attention. We do not always notice the slow rise of mountains, the quiet carving of valleys, or the steady pulse of tides. Yet these forces are persistent, enduring, and deeply influential. By attuning to them, we enter a rhythm of awareness that mirrors the slow, patient dialogue between Earth and Moon. The echoes of past collisions, tidal exchanges, and orbital adjustments are encoded in the landscape, inviting us to reflect on continuity, adaptation, and the poetry of planetary memory. Water, in particular, demonstrates the temporal layering of memory. Sediments settle slowly, accumulating evidence of storms, erosion, and climatic shifts. Ice forms and melts with the passage of millennia, preserving atmospheric records in its frozen layers. Even ocean currents, in their long circular paths, maintain traces of ancient energy flows, connecting distant shores and ecosystems. Memory in water is dynamic, fluid, and living, constantly reshaping itself while preserving the past. Stone, in contrast, is enduring, a slow and steady archive that withstands time. Together they form a duet, a complementary system of recording, preserving, and reflecting the forces that shaped Earth. By contemplating memory in stone and water, we recognize the persistent influence of the moon. Tides, orbital stability, and even subtle variations in Earth's rotation affect erosion, sedimentation, and oceanic circulation. The moon's quiet pull is a guiding hand in the preservation of planetary memory, reinforcing the connection between celestial dynamics and terrestrial rhythms. In this awareness, we sense the patient, poetic choreography of forces that shape both landscape and consciousness, offering insight into continuity, resilience, and wonder. Finally, this meditation on stone and water prepares us to consider the next layer, the emergence of life and consciousness as a participant in memory itself. The Earth preserves echoes of ancient events, yet life interprets, responds, and transforms these imprints, adding a living, reflective dimension to memory. In resting within this section, we attune to the patient rhythms of the planet, the subtle dialogue between permanence and flow, and the gentle influence of the moon, preparing the mind for deeper reflection on how life itself becomes a recorder of cosmic history. Life itself is a living repository, an archive that records the influence of Earth, Moon, and cosmic events. From the simplest microorganisms to the most complex ecosystems, living beings bear traces of environmental rhythms, celestial forces, and geological history. DNA carries not only the instructions for survival, but echoes of adaptation to tidal flows, seasonal cycles, climate shifts, and catastrophic events. In this sense, life is both witness and participant, a dynamic medium that preserves the memory of planetary processes in patterns of growth, behavior, and evolution. Consider the ocean, where tidal forces, shaped by the moon, dictate cycles of reproduction, migration, and feeding. Coral reefs spawn in synchrony with lunar phases. Fish navigate currents guided by subtle gravitational cues. Even microscopic plankton respond to daily and monthly rhythms, their abundance ebbing and flowing with tides and light. Life in these waters is an ongoing dialogue with the moon's pull, an embodiment of memory that manifests through timing, behavior, and survival. The moon is not a distant observer. It is a silent architect, writing history into the very behavior of living organisms. On land, rhythms of day and night, seasonal variation, and climatic stability, all influenced by the moon's orbit and Earth's tilt, shape the life cycles of plants and animals. Trees grow in annual rings, recording rainfall and temperature. Migratory birds time their journeys with precision. Insects emerge in patterns aligned with light and gravitational cues. Each organism carries within it an archive, a living record of environmental conditions, cosmic influences, and the persistent interplay of forces that have shaped Earth's history. Life, in essence, remembers. Beyond biological rhythms, the genetic code itself is an archive. Mutations, adaptations, and inherited traits reflect interactions with environmental stressors, catastrophes, and long-term planetary changes. Evolution is not merely survival. It is a ledger of cosmic negotiation written into molecules, transmitted across generations. Ancient impacts, climatic shifts, tidal oscillations, all have left subtle imprints on the blueprint of life. In contemplating this, we recognize life as a continuous observer, chronicler, and integrator of planetary memory, translating physical forces into living patterns of resilience and adaptation. There is also a poetic dimension to this cosmic archive. Life does not record in rock or water alone. It interprets and responds. A bird's flight, a coral's spawning, a forest's growth. Each is a living echo of the moon's influence, of collisions past, of tidal resonance and orbital patience. These behaviors are not conscious memory, yet they are profound reflections of history, evidence of a deep, ongoing dialogue between living systems and celestial forces. In this sense, consciousness itself may be a continuation of planetary memory, translating silent forces into awareness, reflection, and imagination. Consider humans as participants in this archive. Our bodies, behaviors, and consciousness reflect rhythms and histories shaped by Earth and Moon. Sleep cycles respond to lunar light and circadian rhythms. Physiological processes are tuned to tides of hormones, energy, and environmental cues. Even cultural memory, myths of celestial battles, calendars marking lunar months, stories of floods and storms, can be seen as living extensions of the planetary archive. Humanity participates in and amplifies the dialogue, translating subtle forces into thought, reflection, and art. Life's role as a cosmic archive also emphasizes continuity. Organisms preserve evidence of past environments even as they adapt to new conditions. Fossils, genetic lineages, and ecological patterns are all living or once living records of planetary change. Each generation inherits not only the biological traits necessary for survival, but also the imprints of ancient energy, collisions, and rhythms that have shaped Earth and Moon for billions of years. In this way, memory flows through life like a river, integrating past, present, and future into a coherent, ongoing narrative. Meditating on life as a cosmic archive invites humility and wonder. We are reminded that our existence is intimately linked with forces far beyond ourselves. The moon's quiet tug, the subtle consequences of ancient collisions, the rhythms of tides and seasons, all have guided life's evolution, shaping the forms, behaviors, and consciousness we now experience. By resting in this awareness, we attune to the intricate tapestry of connection, recognizing that life is not separate from planetary and cosmic history, but an active participant in its preservation and interpretation. Finally, the concept of life as an archive prepares the mind for the next contemplation, how memory, resonance, and consciousness intertwine to produce reflection, imagination, and wonder. Life is both a recorder of past events and a medium through which the universe becomes aware of itself. In this meditation, we sense the gentle, persistent dialogue between Earth, Moon, and living beings, and we prepare to explore how these forces manifest in perception, myth, and poetic reflection. A continuation of the cosmic narrative that invites calm curiosity and sleep. The story of Earth and Moon is not only written in stone, water, and life. It is inscribed within consciousness itself. Human awareness is a vessel for memory, both individual and collective, capable of sensing patterns, rhythms, and forces beyond immediate perception. In quiet reflection, we begin to hear the echoes of cosmic events, the ancient collisions, the slow negotiation of orbits, the whispered tides that have shaped life for billions of years. Consciousness is a mirror, reflecting the persistent dialogue between celestial bodies and living systems. In moments of stillness, one can feel the subtle resonance of the moon. Its orbit influences our nights, casting light that guides sleep, thought, and imagination. The tides it governs shape ecosystems, which in turn shape our experience of the world. Even when unperceived, these forces influence our perception, our rhythms, and our awareness. To meditate on consciousness in this context is to recognize that human thought is entwined with planetary and cosmic history, a reflection of forces far older and larger than the self. Memory in consciousness parallels memory in stone, water, and life. Just as rocks preserve the traces of impacts and rivers record the passage of time, human awareness holds echoes of experience, instinct, and ancestral knowledge. Myths, stories, and rituals encode observations of celestial patterns, tides, and seasonal change. Dreams may mirror the motion of the moon or the slow unfolding of environmental rhythms. Consciousness becomes an archive, interpreting and reflecting what the body, environment, and cosmos impart, translating invisible forces into thought, feeling, and imagination. The poetic dimension of consciousness is especially profound in contemplation of a forgotten war between Earth and Moon. Humans have long imagined battles, collisions, and celestial struggles, metaphors for energy exchanges and orbital negotiation. In reflecting on these poetic narratives, we participate in the dialogue of the universe, giving form to forces that cannot speak for themselves. Consciousness thus becomes a bridge between matter and meaning, force and reflection, physical events and imaginative insight. Through awareness, we sense the echoes of ancient energy and integrate them into our own understanding of time, space, and being. Even our perception of rhythm, heartbeat, breath, sleep cycles, echoes cosmic rhythms. Tidal forces, day-night cycles, and seasonal variations all influence biological processes, subtly aligning consciousness with planetary motion. Meditation, dream, and reflection allow us to perceive these rhythms more clearly, attuning mind and body to patterns shaped by both Earth and Moon. In this attunement, consciousness resonates with cosmic forces, a living witness to the slow, patient negotiation of energy and motion that defines planetary and lunar history. The collective dimension of consciousness amplifies these echoes. Cultures across time have observed, recorded, and mythologized the moon's presence, tides, and celestial events. Lunar calendars, rituals, and stories preserve patterns of knowledge and reflection, linking generations in a continuous thread of awareness. Humanity participates in the cosmic dialogue not only individually, but collectively, integrating observation, imagination, and memory into a living record of planetary resonance. Consciousness, therefore, is both observer and participant, a medium through which the universe becomes aware of itself. There is serenity in contemplating consciousness as an echo chamber of cosmic forces. The mind, attuned to rhythm, memory, and resonance, reflects the patient dialogue of Earth and Moon. Thought, perception, and imagination arise in synchrony with tides, orbital shifts, and the lingering effects of ancient collisions. In quiet awareness, we feel connected to forces far beyond ourselves, sensing continuity across time, space, and life. Consciousness becomes a meditation on endurance, harmony, and the subtle poetry of interconnection. This perspective encourages reflection on impermanence and persistence. Just as the moon slowly drifts and tides subtly shape coastlines, consciousness integrates experiences, memories, and reflections over a lifetime. Awareness, like the planet itself, is shaped by gentle negotiation, adaptation, and resonance. By attuning to this process, we cultivate a sense of calm, wonder, and patience, understanding that thought is a participant in the unfolding history of life and cosmos, rather than a separate observer. Finally, echoes in consciousness prepare the mind for the next contemplation, the synthesis of celestial memory, life, and imagination into myth, story, and poetic reflection. Consciousness is both archive and interpreter, carrying the legacy of Earth and Moon into human awareness. By entering this state of reflection, we prepare for deeper meditation on the poetic imagination, the way humans translate cosmic dialogue into wonder, myth, and dream, blending science and philosophy into a sleep-inducing journey of contemplation. From the whispers of cosmic negotiation and the echoes preserved in stone, water, and life, humans have drawn stories, myths, and imagination. Long before telescopes and physics, people observed the moon's silent sway, the rhythms of tides, and the patterns of celestial motion. In their imagination, these forces became characters, struggles, and narratives, sometimes battles, sometimes romances, always reflections of something greater than the self. Myth is consciousness translating cosmic memory into symbols, giving shape to invisible forces and offering a poetic lens through which to understand the universe. Consider myths of celestial conflict. Tales of sky battles, falling stars, and moons in motion may have originated from the observation of impacts, unusual tides, or dramatic celestial events. In these stories, humanity encodes memory and resonance, translating the patient negotiation between Earth and Moon into narrative form. The forgotten war of collisions, orbital shifts, and tidal energy becomes a saga of struggle and balance, teaching lessons about endurance, adaptation, and harmony. Through myth, humans touch the quiet rhythms of the cosmos, connecting imagination with ancient forces. The moon, often central in myth, is both actor and witness. It guides tides, lights the night, and marks the passage of time. Its phases inspire reflection on cycles of growth, decay, and renewal. In myth, the moon is a messenger, a warrior, or a guardian, a reflection of the subtle influence it exerts on Earth and life. Humans translate what is imperceptible, gravitational pull, orbital drift, tidal resonance, into metaphor, crafting stories that preserve the essence of forces otherwise invisible, yet deeply felt. Water, too, shapes myth. Rivers, seas, and tides respond to lunar pull, carrying sediments, energy, and life. Ancient storytellers observed rising tides, seasonal floods, and ocean currents, encoding these rhythms into allegories of cosmic struggle, divine intervention, or heroic adventure. Myth becomes a living archive, complementing stone and water, echoing the planetary memory that informs biological rhythms and consciousness. Through imagination, humans participate in the dialogue of the universe, reflecting forces that have shaped the Earth long before thought emerged. Myth also bridges past and present, connecting human perception with cosmic history. Stories passed through generations preserve subtle truths about planetary rhythms and interactions. Legends of celestial wars, floods, and divine battles echo the outcomes of collisions, tidal negotiation, and orbital shifts. They are not literal history, yet they capture the essence of planetary dialogue, reflecting awareness of forces beyond immediate comprehension. In this, myth becomes a meditation, a bridge between science and philosophy, between observation and imagination. The poetic function of imagination is equally profound. Beyond recording, it interprets and reflects. Myths of moon and earth reveal not only events, but emotional resonance, the awe of vast forces, the humility before cosmic scale, the wonder of continuity and adaptation. Imagination transforms physical interaction into emotional insight, guiding reflection on balance, rhythm, and resilience. In this way, human creativity becomes a mirror for the patient dialogue of celestial bodies, translating science into philosophy, memory into story, and force into wonder. There is also a rhythm to myth itself, a cadence that mirrors cosmic processes. Stories unfold with cycles, tension and release, reflection and resolution, much like tidal patterns or orbital shifts. In listening, reading, or contemplating myth, One aligns unconsciously with planetary and lunar rhythms, entering a meditative state. This alignment bridges external forces with internal perception, offering calm reflection and a deepened sense of connection to the universe. Myth becomes not only narrative but experience, harmonizing thought, imagination, and cosmic awareness. In contemplating celestial imagination, we see that human perception is continuous with the forces it interprets. Consciousness translates memory into story. Life translates environment into behavior. The planet translates energy into form. All are archives of the same dialogue between Earth and Moon. All are participants in a rhythm that spans billions of years. Myth is a uniquely human expression of this resonance, a poetic reflection of collisions, tides, orbits, and the patient, ongoing negotiation of energy and motion. Finally, the meditation on myth and imagination prepares us to enter the concluding sections of the journey. From observation to story, from stone and water to consciousness and imagination, the echoes of a forgotten celestial war have shaped not only Earth and Moon but the human mind itself. Myth is the bridge that carries cosmic memory into awareness, reflection, and wonder, offering a path for contemplation, calm, and sleep. In resting within these stories, the mind becomes attuned to cosmic rhythm, patient dialogue, and the quiet poetry of existence, preparing for the final reflections on resonance, memory, and the enduring dance of worlds. Even after eons of collisions, tidal negotiations, and the quiet shaping of life, the Earth and Moon continue their patient, silent dance. There is no end to this dialogue, only the ongoing exchange of gravitational pull, momentum, and energy, a rhythm both gentle and persistent. The Moon drifts outward ever so slowly, while the Earth's rotation decelerates imperceptibly, day by day, year by year. This motion is the continuation of ancient negotiations, a cosmic conversation that began billions of years ago and will persist long after human observation ceases. Tides continue their silent influence, rising and falling in response to lunar guidance. Coastal ecosystems bend and adapt to these patterns. Rivers flow into the sea, carrying sediments and memory. Ocean currents trace paths shaped by gravitational pull. Even in stillness, energy is transferred. Resonances ripple through the planet, and the dialogue between Earth and Moon unfolds quietly. The rhythm is subtle, almost imperceptible, yet immensely powerful over geological time, guiding climates, life cycles, and the evolution of landscapes. This silent dance reflects a balance achieved through patience and resilience. The Moon's orbital adjustments, Earth's slowed rotation, and the steady reshaping of tides are neither violent nor abrupt. They are negotiations of equilibrium. Collisions long past left scars, but now the system finds harmony, a dynamic balance in which each body influences the other without forceful conflict. In observing this, one senses the elegance of cosmic law, the patient choreography of energy and matter, and the poetry embedded in perpetual motion. Resonance continues to play a vital role. The echoes of past collisions, tidal energy transfers, and orbital shifts remain embedded in Earth's crust and oceans, shaping motion, structure, and rhythm. Mountains and valleys, riverbeds and deltas all bear traces of energy long dissipated, subtly influencing new movement. The Moon, too, carries resonance in its craters and highlands, preserving the memory of impacts and tidal exchange. In this ongoing interaction, We perceive time as a continuum, where past, present, and future coexist in motion, rhythm, and reflection. Life continues to respond to this dance. Marine organisms follow tidal cycles. Terrestrial species align reproduction, migration, and sleep with lunar and solar patterns. Even human perception, unconscious or conscious, remains attuned to these rhythms, from circadian cycles to cultural observation of lunar phases. The dance is therefore not only physical, it is biological, ecological, and perceptual, linking worlds, species, and minds through subtle influence. We, too, are part of the rhythm, participants in a dialogue that spans billions of years. There is serenity in witnessing continuity. The moon's silent drift, the Earth's gradual slowing, and the tide's measured pulse provide a sense of stability and endurance. The absence of drama allows the mind to rest, the imagination to wander, and reflection to deepen. In contemplating the patient motion of these celestial partners, we sense that life and consciousness are guided not only by dramatic events, but also by gentle, persistent interaction, reminding us of the beauty inherent in quiet, enduring processes. The dance is also a meditation on impermanence and persistence. Orbits will continue to shift, tides will continue to rise and fall, and life will continue to adapt. Change is constant, yet the rhythm is reliable, providing a framework within which continuity is maintained. By attuning to this rhythm, the mind aligns with cosmic time, experiencing a sense of connection, patience, and calm wonder. The Earth and Moon exemplify the elegance of forces in harmony, teaching lessons of endurance, adaptation, and balance that echo across life and consciousness. Even the unseen aspects of the dance matter. Gravitational subtleties, resonance within the crust, and energy transfers through oceans and atmosphere continue without notice, yet they shape everything from climate to evolution. The dance is not observed for its spectacle, but felt in its effects, subtle, pervasive, and enduring. This awareness fosters a contemplative state, a meditation on the invisible poetry of motion and memory, where nothing is hurried and everything unfolds in patient rhythm. Finally, the silent dance reminds us that the universe itself is a series of negotiations, interactions, and patient harmonies. Earth and Moon are not static. They are participants in a timeless dialogue that blends memory, resonance, life, and consciousness. Observing this dance invites calm reflection, a sense of wonder, and preparation for sleep, allowing the mind to rest within continuity and rhythm. As the moon glides ever farther away and the tides continue their gentle pull, we sense that cosmic dialogue never ends, and that every moment is part of an enduring, silent, and beautiful choreography of worlds. Beneath the calm gaze of the moon, reflection arises naturally. Night invites stillness, and in stillness, the mind begins to perceive rhythms, echoes, and harmonies that are otherwise obscured by the noise of daily life. The moon, silent yet constant, casts a gentle light upon oceans, rivers, and landscapes, illuminating the traces of past collisions, tidal negotiations, and geological memory. In this quiet illumination, we are reminded that the cosmos communicates subtly, and that contemplation allows us to receive these messages in their most serene form. Moonlight invites a slowing of thought, a turning inward. The gentle glow mirrors the rhythms of life, the rise and fall of tides, the pulse of breath, the quiet persistence of planetary forces. As attention drifts across this interplay of light and shadow, consciousness aligns with the patient dialogue of Earth and Moon. Here, reflection is both literal and metaphorical. We see ourselves mirrored in the cycles of nature, in the ebb and flow of celestial energy, in the quiet negotiation of forces that has shaped worlds for billions of years. In contemplating beneath the moon, one senses the continuity of time. Ancient impacts, long dissipated energies, and shifts in orbit are not distant or abstract. They are embedded in the motion of water, in the pattern of tides, and in the gentle pull that guides all life. Reflection allows awareness to expand, connecting present experience with deep history. The mind becomes a vessel, receiving the echoes of forgotten forces, resonances preserved in rock and water, and rhythms encoded in life itself. Each thought, each sensation, resonates with the quiet memory of planetary and lunar dialogue. The moon also invites imagination. Its changing phases are a metaphor for cycles of growth, loss, and renewal. Waxing and waning light mirrors the progression of time, the continuity of life, and the resilience of memory. In reflection, imagination transforms observation into poetic insight. The quiet war between Earth and Moon, the resonance of impacts, and the persistence of tidal energy become narratives of adaptation, balance, and harmony. Moonlight, gentle and patient, guides the mind into a contemplative state where wonder and serenity coexist. Water under moonlight becomes a mirror for reflection. Tides rise and fall, carrying sediments, nutrients, and subtle energy, echoing the ancient dance of Earth and Moon. Rivers shimmer with borrowed light, reminding us that memory and motion are inseparable. Observing these patterns, one senses that even seemingly simple phenomena, rippling water, shifting sands, gentle waves, are shaped by forces that span billions of years. Reflection beneath the moon is thus an engagement with both the present moment and deep time, aligning mind, body, and imagination with the patient rhythms of the cosmos. Human consciousness participates in this reflection. Dreams, thoughts, and meditations often mirror lunar rhythm, tidal pulse, and cyclical patterns of life. In quiet observation, we sense resonance in our own awareness, a slowing of the heart, a softening of thought, a tuning to the natural cadence of night. The moon's presence facilitates this alignment, serving as a gentle guide for contemplation, inviting the mind to rest within cosmic order and encouraging a sense of belonging to the continuum of life, memory, and planetary motion. Reflection beneath the moon is also an exploration of interconnection. Earth and Moon are engaged in an ongoing dialogue. Life carries echoes of this interaction. Consciousness interprets, imagines, and responds. By observing, contemplating, and feeling, humans participate in the narrative of planetary memory. The moonlight becomes a bridge, connecting the outer world, the subtle forces of gravity, tides, and orbital motion, with the inner world of thought, perception, and poetic insight. In this light, reflection is a communion with the cosmos, a meditation on persistence, adaptation, and wonder. There is serenity in surrendering to these rhythms. One need not analyze or measure, for understanding is not always necessary. Feeling is sufficient. The rise and fall of tides, the slow drift of the moon, and the gentle luminescence of night guide consciousness into a state of calm reflection. Here, the mind absorbs the lessons of endurance, patience, and harmony, attuning to the subtle choreography of worlds. Each thought becomes a ripple in the quiet pond of awareness, echoing ancient forces while preparing the mind for rest. Finally, reflections beneath the moonlight prepare the consciousness for the concluding meditation on continuity, resonance, and the eternal dialogue of earth and moon. Observation, imagination, and contemplation have guided us through stone, water, life, and consciousness. The moon now serves as a gentle companion, illuminating the path toward quiet understanding, restful wonder, and the final embrace of cosmic rhythm. In resting beneath its light, we sense the enduring dialogue of worlds, the persistence of memory, and the serene poetry of existence. The story of Earth and Moon does not end. It continues in a quiet, eternal dialogue. Across billions of years, forces have collided, negotiated, and resonated, shaping landscapes, oceans, life, and consciousness. This dialogue is subtle, unceasing, and profound. It is a negotiation of energy, a transfer of momentum, a shaping of memory. From ancient collisions to tidal flows, from craters to DNA, from the rhythm of waves to the cadence of consciousness, the interaction between Earth and Moon is a continuous, living archive, a story written not in words but in form, motion, and resonance. Memory is the thread that binds this dialogue. The scars of ancient impacts, the sediment carried by rivers, the growth rings in trees, the patterns of tides, and the inherited behaviors of living beings. All are traces of interaction, echoes of forces that shaped both worlds. Life itself becomes a recorder, translating energy, rhythm, and environment into biological memory. Consciousness, in turn, reflects on these patterns, imagines them, encodes them into story, myth, and poetry. The moon's quiet pull resonates through every layer, guiding tides, influencing cycles, and embedding itself into the fabric of existence. This eternal dialogue is one of balance. The moon drifts slowly outward. The Earth's rotation decelerates. Tides rise and fall with patience and precision. Energy flows continuously, yet quietly. Collisions long past shaped the system, but the ongoing interaction maintains harmony. Forces that once seemed violent now echo as rhythm, pattern, and resonance. There is poetry in this patient negotiation, a reminder that even conflict, when measured by cosmic time, can give rise to enduring balance. Observation, reflection, and meditation reveal the elegance of these forces, teaching lessons of patience, adaptation, and interconnectedness. Life participates fully in this conversation. Organisms align with tidal rhythms, seasonal changes, and lunar cycles. DNA preserves traces of environmental pressure and adaptation. Consciousness emerges, reflecting, imagining, and interpreting these forces. Humanity observes, dreams, and creates myth in response, translating invisible energy into narrative, wonder, and reflection. Each layer, matter, water, life, mind, and imagination, is a medium through which the dialogue is maintained and understood, a living testament to the interaction of planetary and celestial forces. The dialogue is also a meditation on impermanence and continuity. Landscapes shift, climates fluctuate, species evolve, yet rhythm persists. Tides continue their silent pull, the moon drifts imperceptibly, and energy flows through oceans, rocks, and air. Consciousness, too, experiences rhythm, perception, and reflection. This continuity reassures. The universe operates on time scales far beyond our own, yet its rhythms touch us intimately. In this understanding, we sense connection, patience, and serenity, resting within the knowledge that even amid change, dialogue and resonance endure. Human imagination is part of this eternal exchange. Myth, story, and reflection capture forces otherwise invisible. Tales of celestial battles, lunar influence, and cosmic negotiation echo physical truths. Poetry transforms observation into wonder, linking mind to matter, thought to motion, and consciousness to rhythm. By engaging imagination, humans participate actively in the dialogue, extending the reach of memory and resonance beyond the physical world into perception and understanding. Myth becomes a vessel for cosmic history, carrying echoes of Earth-Moon interaction through generations. There is a sacredness to this dialogue. Gravity, momentum, and energy are not merely physical phenomena. They are poetry in motion, rhythm in form, and memory in structure. The moon's pull, once imagined as war, now reveals itself as communication, negotiation, and resonance. Life and consciousness reflect these forces, integrating them into cycles, patterns, and awareness. By resting in meditation on these truths, the mind attunes to cosmic order, sensing the continuity of energy and motion across time, space, and life itself. Reflection deepens when we consider the layering of memory across scales. Rock and water preserve physical evidence of past events. Life encodes adaptation and behavior. Consciousness interprets, imagines, and reflects. Myth translates perception into story. Each layer is connected, forming an intricate web of resonance and remembrance. The dialogue between Earth and Moon is thus multidimensional, physical, biological, psychological, and poetic. All exist simultaneously, offering insight into the patient persistence of memory, rhythm, and connection. The eternal dialogue also reminds us of humility. Humans are observers and participants, small, yet conscious, fleeting, yet aware. Our lives intersect with rhythms shaped over billions of years. Tides influence sleep, lunar light inspires imagination, and ancestral memory informs thought. Awareness of this continuum cultivates wonder and calm, placing human existence within a larger tapestry of interaction, negotiation, and resonance. It is a meditation on scale, persistence, and the poetry of forces beyond our immediate control. Finally, the dialogue invites rest and contemplation. As the moon glides across the night sky, as tides rise and fall, as consciousness reflects on memory, imagination, and resonance, we are invited to join the rhythm. We align with the silent negotiation of energy, the patient choreography of worlds, and the enduring poetry of existence. In sleep, reflection, and quiet awareness, we participate in the eternal conversation, carrying the echoes of collisions, tides, life, and imagination into dreams. The earth and moon continue their dialogue, timeless, serene, and profound, and in attuning to it, we find wonder, calm, and connection.